My name is Emily Quarles-Maurer. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Potsdam, United States of America. Welcome to all of those who came this morning to join us in our lovely sanctuary. Welcome to all of those who are joining us live on Zoom, and welcome to all of those who are clicking around YouTube and find us just randomly by getting passed from one video to another. We are so lucky that you have found a place to be with us this morning. This morning, we have Lisa Jokio, who stepped in at the last minute to play for us, and we feel so lucky. We'd like to send out a shout out to Justine for being our technology lead. Thank you so much, Justine. For over 50 years, UUFP has been a liberal religious voice in the Pottstown area. As UUs, we believe facts and faith are not an either-or proposition. We believe that honoring the wisdom of the past is important, and that exploring into the future is equally important. One of the ways that we honor the past is by learning from it. We believe that there are plenty of questions out there, and most importantly, we believe that we are all inside the circle of love and justice and compassion. So we hope your spirit and your heart and your mind are refreshed as we join again together. We come together in this place on Sunday mornings, not because we necessarily share a creed, but because we share a promise. We're promising to support one another wherever we are on our spiritual path. So whoever you are, wherever you are in space and time, whomever you love, wherever you're from, we are so glad you are with us today. Now we have a moment for announcements. If anyone has an announcement, please feel free to come up to the front and use the microphone, and remember to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Linda. Just a reminder to everybody who's here after services today, please get refreshment, relax a little bit. We're going to come back and have an important part of our democratic process as it relates to being a Unitarian Universalist. We will have our annual congregational meeting. It's very important. We will be voting on the board of directors. We will be voting on the budget for the upcoming fiscal year, and we will also be just taking a straight vote for our delegates to vote either for or against the proposed changes to Article 2 with the Union Way bylaws. So again, I encourage everybody to stay. Your vote does count. Thank you.
Morning, I'm Clifford, and 2 weeks from today, I'm going to be doing a fresh pasta cooking demo. It's going to be a fundraiser for the church. I'll be doing 2 different kinds of dough, one classic egg pasta and another gluten-free option done with cornmeal. Get 3 different sauces, and also we're going to break it into groups, so each group can get their hands into the pasta and really get a feel for how it's supposed to feel when it's just exactly right. Thank you.
Hey, thanks everyone. That went really well. I can't wait to get some pasta. Now it's time to light our chalice. Chloe, am I lighting for us this morning? We light our chalice this morning with words from Eric Walker Wickstrom. Here, today, in this place, with these people, may we listen so that we can hear. May we hear so that we can feel. May we feel so that we can know. May we know so that we can change ourselves and this world. May this chalice we light this morning light our way. And now we'll warmly welcome Reverend Kim Wilson back to our pulpit at UU Fellowship of Pottstown. We've been lucky to have Reverend Kim sharing her inspirational thoughts and words with us on a monthly basis. She is a graduate of Moravian Divinity School, and we are so blessed that she has been able to share time with us. We're going to jump everywhere and get started.
Welcome to this place where certainty transforms into questions. This place that takes what is and imagines what can be. Welcome to this space where what was fixed begins to shift, where rigidity embraces unfolding as we join in the dance of transformation. Welcome to this moment of change where together we let go and transcend. Come, let us worship together. And let's join in singing in our great hymnals, number 361. Enter, rejoice, and come in. I invite you to stand as you are able. Now I'd like to invite Megan to come forward, and she has a story to share with us. You're coming up to sit on the floor. You're welcome to get yourself a mat. Make yourself a little more comfortable.
So today's story is when things aren't going right, go left. One day, for no particular reason, nothing was going right. Absolutely, positively, nothing was going right. So I decided to go left. The first thing I did, I left my worries behind. Yep, I left them right there on the ground. They looked up at me and wondered, where are you going? But I just smiled and waved goodbye. Wait, they hollered, come back. What will happen to us? I simply shrugged my shoulders and said, you'll be fine. As I walked away, I thought, did I make the right choice? Should I go back and get them? Doubts crept in. So you know what I did? I left behind my doubts. Yep, I left them right there on the ground. They bellowed, you're making a mistake. But I just gazed at the sky. They questioned, are you sure you're making the right decision? Absolutely, I declared. With my worries and my doubts left behind, I could finally think clearly. I forged on until I came to a pool and a diving board I remembered all too well. Last time I tried to dive off that diving board, I splatted on my back. Ouch. I remembered the pain and how scared I was. I started thinking, maybe I shouldn't try this again. So you know what I did? I left behind my fears. Yep, I left them right there on the ground. They screamed, don't do it. I stood up straight, shoulders back, hands pressed above my head. Stop, they cried, but I simply turned and gave them a wink.
I leaped, splat. On my back again. Oh, that stings. I thought to myself, this is impossible, it can't be done. So you know what I did? I left behind my frustrations. Yep, I left them right there on the ground. They yelled, "You can't do it!" Again, I stood up straight, shoulders back, hands pressed above my head. They laughed. Give up already. I whispered to myself, no way, never. I leaped, feet together, toes pointed, legs straight up. Perfect. I did it. I started to realize the more left I went, the more right I felt. So you know what I did? Yep, I kept going left. And before I knew it, everything was going right. As I walked home, I glanced at the ground and I noticed something that I did not expect. My frustrations were a lot smaller. My fears a lot quieter, my doubts a lot calmer, and my worries were practically gone. So I decided to pick them back up. And you know what? They felt lighter now. And they weren't so hard to handle anymore. And I realized it was okay to have them with me, so long that I kept an eye on them. And made sure that they didn't get too big, or too loud, or too overwhelming. But if they did, and I felt like nothing was going right again, then I'd simply go left. When life burdens start to feel too heavy, don't be afraid to put them down for a while.
Thank you, Megan. It's a great message for all of us. Let's sing our children out to their classes now with Go Now in Peace. So I believe we're going to play a recording of an anthem, is that correct? Or what are we going to do? So is our choir going to sing this morning?
Where they are.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay. We are going to go right into our meditation with Spirit of Life. Yeah, unfortunately, Carly is ill this morning, so she was not able to come, and the choir was not able to rehearse the anthem. So we're going to unfortunately skip past that.
No, we're not.
No, we're not. What are we doing, please? All right, Spirit of Life right now. Seated. Let's be in a spirit of prayer and meditation as I share this spoken meditation with all of you. And this is adapted from one of my colleagues, Lynn Cox. Creative spirit, source of life and love. We give thanks for the beauty of this day and for the company of those assembled here. We're grateful for the longings that tell us that it is time for a change. Thank you for the breezes of change, clearing our heads and bringing fresh ideas. May they cleanse our minds of the false ideas that divide us. We are grateful for the confusion and uncertainty we sometimes feel. Thank you for the flame of hope, the heat of righteous anger, the warmth of compassion, and the fire of commitment. May they bubble the cauldrons of transformation. We are grateful for the courage within us that moves us to act, to do what in our hearts we know we need to do. Thank you for oceans of love, rivers of connection, tears of relief, and pools of serenity. May healing waters flow over us and through us and among us, wearing down the sharp rocks of despair to bring joy in the morning. We are grateful for new insights and inspirations. Thank you for the good earth beneath us, around us, and within us. May we take this clay and co-create a new realm of justice and beauty. We give thanks for all these gifts and more. We accept all that we have been given, and knowing that we never travel alone, we commit to the building, sculpting, painting, singing, and dancing them to life, to abundant life. So be it. Blessed be. Amen. Let's take about a minute to be in silent meditation together. I'll end with a chime.
Now is the time in our service where we pause for our morning offering. Victoria Weinstein reminds us that the purpose of church is to encourage all who gather there to grow more generous in spirit and action. This is the great end of all the world's faith traditions, to bring human beings closer to the divine through creation and compassion. So we'll take an offering today that allows us to exercise generosity of spirit, an offering that sustains and supports this self-supporting church. The gifts of the congregation will be most gratefully received. Thank you so much for this morning offering. It was given with love and received with such joy and generosity. Thank you.
Our reading this morning is called The Tale of the Sands, and it's a traditional Sufi story. A stream, happily tumbling down from its source in the mountains, gushing forth with great energy, first this way and then that, suddenly came to a halt. It had reached a desert. Having crossed many barriers on its long journey from the mountaintop, the stream was confident that it would be able to cross the sand without much difficulty. Yet try as it might, it could not find a way. It was stuck. As the stream wondered what to do next, it became aware of a sound, which, if truth be known, it found rather startling at first. The stream stopped, dashing itself on the sand and listened. The sound, or rather the voice, whispered, "The wind crosses the desert." Somewhat puzzled, the stream thought, "The wind can fly, of course it can cross the desert." The voice continued, "You'll disappear if you keep on carrying on, dashing yourself upon the sands. Allow the wind to carry you." "Carry me?" thought the stream. "How can the wind carry me?" The voice of the sands insisted. "The wind performs this function all the time. It lifts the water up, carries it across the desert, and then drops it down on the other side." "How can this be?" thought the stream. "It is simply so. If you don't let the wind carry you, you will be absorbed by the sand until there is not a single drop of you left. Why else is this known as the desert? If I listen to you, I don't know what will happen. There's no guarantee that what you're telling me is true." "That is so," said the voice. "The problem stems from the fact that you are unaware of your essential nature. If you knew that, you would happily rise up into the arms of the wind. You have a choice. You can either take a leap of faith and believe that what I am telling you is true, or you can carry on as you are, in which case I am sorry to say you will cease to exist." As the stream heard this, distant memories began to surface, and eventually a realization that yes, it had indeed once before been held in the arms of the wind. And so the stream, slowly at first, began to stop thrashing and writhing about in its attempt to cross the sands. Eventually became still and waited. waited for the wind to lift it into the skies and carry it across to safety. The stream let go and began to rise as vapor into the welcoming arms of the wind. Gently, it was lifted upward and over the desert. It fell softly as it reached the roof of the mountain, many miles away, and became rain. The raindrops ran down into a small valley where they merged together, and then, at last, the stream was a stream once more. Let's join now in singing in your grade hymnals, number 95, There's More Love Somewhere. Tend to not be so good at letting go. Like the stream in the story we just heard, we resist change. It can be especially hard when it means we have to let go of who we are, who we understand ourselves to be. And when I first began thinking about this topic, the story of this one man came to mind. His name is Bob Wells, and his story was told in the book called Nomadland, which was made into a movie. Some of you may have seen the movie, which was not so much about him, but this is, I want to tell you about Bob Wells. He was a husband and father of 2 boys, and he held a steady job at a Safeway grocery store in Anchorage, Alaska. He recalls that he bought into this social contract that said if you play by the rules, you go to school, you get a job, and you work hard, everything will be fine. But in 1995, he was suddenly struggling through a bitter divorce. Everything was definitely not fine. Despite his full-time salary, after alimony and child support, there wasn't enough left over for housing. He found himself living in a box truck that he bought for $1,500, which was all that he had left in savings. The floor was 8 by 12 feet. It's really the size of a small bedroom, Bob reasoned as he rolled out his sleeping pad and blankets. But as he lay there that first night inside that box truck, he dissolved into tears. For weeks, crying himself to sleep was a routine event. As Franciscan priest Richard Rohr writes, transformation more often happens not when something new begins, but when something old falls apart. Bob's sense of who he was and what he was doing with his life had fallen apart. That box truck would be Bob's home for the next 6 years. The pain of something falling apart, writes Rohr, invites and sometimes forces the soul to listen at a deeper level. It invites and sometimes forces the soul to go to a new place. How does a person do that after they've lost so much? Rohr advises that when the old life is falling apart, this is when you need patience and the freedom to let go instead of tightening your controls. End quote. We have to allow ourselves to dwell in the confusing dark space for a while before we reemerge in a new space. And then we have to find our place in that new space. This is where our creative energy comes in, because we have to create a place for ourselves that has never before existed, a place that perhaps we had never even imagined. But first, we resist. We don't feel the freedom to let go. We tighten our controls. Like the stream arguing with the desert, we try to bargain with reality. No, I don't believe you. I don't accept this idea. I don't want to do it. What if it just makes things worse? We fight against what life is telling us we must do. We want what we have. We want what we know. It might not be perfect, but we clutch onto it with all the strength that we have. When we close and stubbornly maintain our grip, that's, quote, often what keeps us stuck, even though we want to blame everything and everyone else, says cancer survivor and writer Mark Nepo. There's a story about monkeys that illustrates the danger of the clenched fist. All over the world, wherever monkeys live, humans have witnessed a weakness in these animals and have exploited it in order to capture them. In parts of Africa, for example, it used to be that people would hollow out a calabash, which is a large gourd that looks similar to a butternut squash. So it's got this big base and then a narrow neck. And at the narrow end, they'd make a hole just large enough for the monkey's arm and outstretched hand. And then they put something tasty inside. And after that, they would tie the gourd to a tree branch and kind of hide in the bushes and wait. A monkey would come along, put its hand into the hole, grab hold of the tasty contents, but then it wouldn't be able to get its fist through the opening. And then it would just grip the treat more tightly and pull harder. The hunters could then literally walk up to this wild monkey and just pick it up because it would not let go. When I saw a film of this practice in action, I kind of felt sorry for the monkey, but a part of me wanted to laugh. We want to laugh at the foolish monkey that allows itself to be caught because it won't let go of something it really wants. We laugh because we've never done that, right? Gripped onto something that we really, really want. Well, actually, who among us hasn't done that? Somehow we believe that we can keep doing life the same way, and when that doesn't seem to be working, we should just do it more, do it harder, hold on more tightly. And even when life circumstances change drastically, we're still mentally and emotionally gripping on to our old life. That's just us being human. For Bob Wells, in those first few weeks after he moved into his box truck, crying himself to sleep each night, he looked back on his life and how he tried to fill a sense of emptiness with whatever was at hand: debt, food, sex, religion. Now he felt that he'd hit bottom. Quote, a working father of two who couldn't keep his marriage afloat and was reduced to living in a vehicle. He felt like a total loser. A harsh assessment, yes, but in any transformation, there is a stage of brokenness. It's in the pain of brokenness that we begin to listen to the not yetness of what is to be born. This is where we may still be feeling victimized by life, blaming everything and everyone, including ourselves. But it's also the point at which we feel so uncomfortable and we're hurting so much that we finally become willing to open our hands up to new possibilities. When transformation is being forced upon us, there comes a point where we recognize we can't continue doing what we've been doing. We can't continue viewing a situation the way we've been viewing it. Because at some point it becomes obvious that what we've been doing is no longer working. So clearly the way we've been thinking about the situation isn't working either. This is the critical turning point. And unlike monkeys, we have the capacity to observe our thoughts and reactions critically and to then make different choices. In the rooms of 12-step programs, it's sometimes said that when you hit a wall and you can't keep going straight ahead, you can make a turn. Bob had definitely hit a wall. But then his intense misery and discomfort finally pushed him to see his situation in a new light. And he made one small decision, and sometimes that's all it takes. He started improving his space. He built bunk beds. He dragged in a cozy recliner chair. He attached plastic shelving to the walls. For a kitchen, he had an ice chest, a 2-burner Coleman stove, and a gallon jug of water. On his days off, his sons came to visit. One slept on the extra bunk bed and the other on the recliner. With that one tiny decision to work with what he had, he turned his life in an entirely new direction. In making that one small change, Bob shifted from a place of victimhood to a place where life happens to us and we think we have no options, to a place of creator, where we come to accept our circumstances and use the materials of those circumstances, whatever they may be, to build something entirely new. Surprising himself as much as anybody else, Bob found that he actually didn't miss much about his old life after a while. And when he thought about some of the things that were missing, especially rent and utility bills, he was positively giddy. With the money he was saving, he continued to make the space more comfortable: insulation, heating for winter, a fan for summer, and an electric generator for a microwave and a TV. He went on to devote himself to teaching others how to live in a vehicle on a shoestring budget. He's convinced that giving up the image of what successful American life is supposed to be was the best choice he could have made, because he was truly happy for the first time in his life. Bob eventually went on the road permanently and became a guru to thousands of people who, like him, had also become disillusioned by the so-called American dream. On Bob's YouTube channel, you can hear him explain how to convert a van into a home for under $400 and his tips, tricks, and guidelines for living the nomadic life. As he stands out in the sun in the desert somewhere with his shaggy white hair and full white beard, you can see the glow in his face and you can feel his enthusiasm. testaments to the joy and the meaning that he now has in his life. It seems that when Bob created a new life for himself, he not only found a way forward by turning away from the standard American dream, but he found a way out of his isolation too. When we get stuck in a hole of misery and self-pity, we buy into the illusion of separateness. We often isolate ourselves, and that only increases our sense of desperation and depression. For some of us, engaging in daily prayer or meditation or other spiritual practice can remind us that we are not alone. But there is a greater love, a love with a capital L, that holds us by whatever name we call it. And we need people around us, a community of people who offer their kindness, their support, and their caring. Bob built his community among others who, like him, had given up the traditional houses and apartments to live in what some call real estate. Together, they have formed a wandering tribe that offers mutual support based on a sort of kinship, a common understanding, and a common hope. They trade stories around the campfire. When someone's van breaks down, everyone passes the hat. They are there for each other. Especially when we're forced into a time of transition and turmoil, we need support. We need family, whether biological or adopted. We need friends. We need community. This opening ourselves to others can go against our survival instincts. Writer and theologian Frederick Buechner says that to grit your teeth and clench your fists in order to survive the world at its worst is to be unable to let something be done for you and in you. The same steel that secures your life against being destroyed secures your life also against being opened up and transformed by the holy power that life itself comes from. You can survive on your own. You can grow strong on your own. You can even prevail on your own, but you cannot become fully human on your own. End quote. In order to become fully human, we need one another. And as Unitarian Universalists, in our quest toward full humanity, we commit ourselves to learning and growing spiritually. We seek what is true and meaningful through our interactions with the world around us. And we also seek truth and meaning through our internal reflections. The more we can cultivate our awareness, go deeper in our noticing, the more we will learn and grow and come to a place of spiritual wholeness. And by that, I mean a place of equanimity and a sense of compassionate connection with other human beings and with the all that is. Part of our growing spiritually is to learn to be able to lean into discomfort and to allow ambiguity. When we're in the midst of change, the ability to dwell in the uncertainty, the place of not knowing, is what allows us to open to new truth and to new insight. And it's important to recognize that more than one thing can be true at one time. Whenever there is change, there will be loss. That is true. And it's also true that there will be good. There can be sadness, and there can also be joy. I know for myself that on the other side of loss, I have found profound growth and insight and joy that I never would have had otherwise. Leaning into discomfort is counterintuitive and takes courage. It means letting go when we desperately want to hold on. It means hitting a wall and hanging in there until we can see which way we can turn, how we can use the materials of our circumstances to create something new and beautiful, something that has never existed before. whatever it is in our lives right now that we are letting go of, may we be reminded that we have the courage within us to do what we need to do. We are stronger and more resilient than we sometimes know. We will transform from being victims of our circumstances to becoming creators of our new lives. We will come out on the other side with faith and the support of friends, families, and beautiful communities like this one. We will get there. To quote a line from our closing hymn, which I think we're about to sing. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. We will get there. May it be so.
Please open your book, small book. To number 1020-1020. Tiny road. When you turn the page, don't turn back. And we'll take the simple repeats on it. I listened to the YouTube this morning and no two renditions of it.
Yeah.
In order to avoid confusion, and choir members, sing out. Hey, stand if you can.
Let's join now in saying our unison closing words, which are in your order of service, and they're also up on the screen. Go out into the world in peace. Have courage. Hold on to what is good. Return to no person evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the suffering. Honor all beings. Now is the time in our service for joys and sorrows. Now. And then we'll check them, the postlude and then the chalice extinguisher.
I'm gonna play Temper My Spirit. Extinguishing words. We extinguish this child's flame, but not the light of wisdom, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and in our hands until we are together again. Amen. Shalom, salam, blessed be. Thank you for joining us today. Please stay for coffee hour, and if you are so inclined, also for the meeting.
Being quiet.